Welcome back, listeners. We're ready for another deep dive today. Today we're going to India, to the city called Prayagraj. You might know it as Allahabad.
Ah, yes.
But we're going to dig into this pretty cool document, all in Hindi, about the city and the 2025 Kumbh Mela.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I think by the end of this, you'll see why that name Prayagraj is so important.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a name change. You know,
Right.
it really shows how history and, spirituality are just intertwined there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of unpack this. Prayagraj means place of sacrifice.
Right.
Which kind of right away sets the scene. What kind of sacrifices are we talking about?
Yeah.
What does this tell us about the city's beginnings?
Well, it's like this connection to the divine, you know, a place where rituals like bridging the gap between humans and the gods were performed. And the document talks about this really fascinating belief that Lord Brahma, like the creator god in Hinduism, actually performed the first ever sacrifice there in Prayagraj.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So not just any sacrifices, but acts that really echo throughout all of Hindu mythology.
Exactly.
So that's got to be why it's considered the Tirtharaj. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay.
Tirtharaj, meaning king of pilgrimage sites, it basically means that it's like the most important city for pilgrimage in Hinduism. And it makes sense, right? Because of where it is. The point where these three rivers converge, the Ganga, Yamuna, and the mythical Saraswati.
Right.
All these holy waters right in that spot.
It's like the city itself is destined to be this super holy site just because of where it is.
Totally. And there's more. Prayagraj, it pops up in these epic stories like the Ramayana and the Mahabharata.
Okay, so it's not just a holy spot. It's literally a location for these epic narratives. I bet that makes it even more real.
Oh, for sure. In the Ramayana, we learn that Lord Rama, along with Sita and Lakshmana, they actually visited Prayagraj while they were in exile. Just imagine. These super famous figures walking the same ground that we're talking about, right? They went to the ashram of the sage Paraja.
I'm starting to get a sense of why this city is so important to people. It's woven into the fabric of the city, all these stories.
Totally. And the Mahabharata adds even more. The document suggests that the Pandavas, these 5 heroes, they might have gone to Prayagraj when they were in hiding.
Oh, interesting.
Performing, ritual bathing to cleanse themselves.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like a place of renewal as well. It's fascinating how those stories still connect people to Prayagraj.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just history. It's living history, connecting to beliefs and values.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing this story doesn't just end there, right?
Right.
With ancient epics.
Right. The story keeps going and in a pretty dramatic way. Now, think about the Mughal era. Huge cultural and religious changes happening in India. The document points to 1583. That's when the Mughal Emperor Akbar renamed the city to Allahabad. It means City of Allah.
Oh, wow. That's a big shift. I wonder what that did to the people who live there. Their whole city's identity's changing.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
Well, under Mughal rule, Allahabad became a major administrative center, a key spot.
Okay, so Prayagraj has always been this crossroads, a melting pot, different empires, beliefs, all mixing together. But how did it make its way into modern times?
Here's where things get really interesting. The document highlights Allahabad's role in the 1857 rebellion.
Oh, yeah.
A turning point in India's struggle for independence from, British rule.
My knowledge on the 1857 rebellion is a little shaky. Could you maybe remind us what happened there?
Of course. The 1857 rebellion, also called the Sepoy Mutiny, was this huge uprising against the British in India, really a turning point that led to India's independence a century later.
So Prayagraj, or Allahabad as it was known then, it was right in the thick of it. That's incredible.
Yeah, and its connection to independence doesn't stop there. The first meeting of the Indian National Congress, that's the party that led the fight for independence, was held in Allahabad in 1885.
Wow.
Can you imagine the excitement, the hope for a free India?
Amazing to see how Prayagraj has seen so much history.
It really has. Even today it's changing. Like when the Uttar Pradesh government changed the name back to Prayagraj in 2018.
Huh. That's fascinating. So it's more than just a name change, right? It's reclaiming their heritage.
You got it. It's a trend in India right now, this re-examining of its colonial past and a return to traditional identities. It's a complicated issue with lots of different opinions, but it shows how Prayagraj is still changing.
It seems like it's always balancing tradition and modern life.
Totally.
But there's one event that brings it all together, right?
Yeah.
The Kumbh Mela.
Exactly. It's like a lens that focuses all of Prayagraj's history, its spirituality, and its culture into one huge event.
Right. And our document actually goes into some pretty cool details about the 2025 Kumbh Mela. I'm guessing it was quite the sight to see.
Oh, yeah.
Can you describe it? What's it like to actually be at the Kumbh Mela?
Imagine this. Crowds as far as you can see. Everyone there to bathe in those holy waters. It's like a wave of faith and devotion, you know? Vibrant colors everywhere. Processions of sadhus, holy men. And the chanting, the music, it just hits all your senses.
Wow. Sounds pretty intense. And I've heard the 2025 Kumbh Mela was massive.
Oh, it was huge. The document says that on Makar Sankranti, like the first big bathing day, an estimated 50 million people showed up.
Wait, 50 million?
50 million.
That's insane. And I bet that was just the start, right?
Oh, yeah. On Posh Purnima, another big bathing day, there were 30 million pilgrims. And then, get this, on Mauni Amavasya, the biggest bathing day of the whole Kumbh Mela, 60 million people gathered. It really shows the power of faith and tradition, even in today's world.
That's mind-blowing. I can't even imagine. And there were other big bathing days too, right? Throughout the whole Mela.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The Kumbh Mela goes on for weeks. Millions of people participate all the time. So on Basant Panchami, there were 40 million people. Then on Maghi Purnima, around 35 million. And even on the last major bathing day, Mahashivratri, they still had an estimated 25 million people.
That's crazy. Managing an event that big must be so hard.
Oh, for sure. Imagine trying to accommodate and keep that many people safe for weeks. It's like running a mega city that just pops up overnight.
The document talks about some pretty impressive stuff they did, like for infrastructure and security. 50,000 security personnel, 30 pontoon bridges. These are those temporary floating bridges.
Oh, yeah.
2,500 CCTV cameras. Even 20,000 public toilets.
I mean, that's just the beginning. So many government agencies, religious organizations, volunteers. It takes a lot of coordination.
With crowds that huge, did they have any problems keeping everyone safe?
The document does mention a few small stampedes, which, can happen when you have that many people.
Right.
But all in all, the 2025 Kumbh Mela was a success when it came to safety and managing the crowds.
Wow, that's impressive. They must have been so careful and able to adjust to all kinds of situations. What do you think made them so successful?
Well, they used some pretty smart strategies, like having separate walking paths, different bathing areas for different groups, and they kept a close eye on how crowded things were getting. It really shows the dedication and expertise of everyone involved. But there's another important factor that helped things run smoothly.
Oh, what's that?
The pilgrims themselves. They understood what the event meant and were willing to cooperate with the organizers.
Yeah, I bet being a part of something that big makes you feel responsible, too.
Absolutely.
I'm curious about the medical teams. They have to work so hard, especially with all those people.
Oh, absolutely. They're the unsung heroes of the Kumbh Mela, working around the clock, making sure everyone's okay, providing medical help, water stations, even emotional support. They're like a constant, reassuring presence, even in all the chaos.
So we have these massive crowds, the challenges of managing everything, and yet it seems like the Kumbh Mela went pretty smoothly.
It's really amazing, isn't it? It shows what people can do when they work together and the power of faith and tradition.
Yeah, it's incredible. We've covered a lot in this first part of our dive. We've gone through Prayagraj's history, its spiritual significance, how its identity has evolved, and just how huge the Kumbh Mela really is. But as we move into the next part of our exploration, there's a big question I keep thinking about.
I think I know what you're going to ask.
You probably do. How does an event like the Kumbh Mela, rooted in ancient tradition, not just survive, but thrive in today's world, a world that's so focused on technology?
That's the big question, isn't it? It speaks to faith, community, and what we look for in a world that never stops changing. We'll explore that more in the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing. Like, we're so connected now, right, with technology, information everywhere. But people still want to be part of something that's been going on for centuries.
It's true.
Why do you think that is? Why does the Kumbh Mela still have so much meaning today?
I think it speaks to this basic human need. We want to connect with others.
Right.
In a world that can feel so lonely sometimes, the Kumbh Mela offers this powerful sense of belonging.
So it's more than just religion. It's about finding common ground, even when the world feels so divided.
Absolutely. Think about it. People from all walks of life at the Kumbh Mela,
yeah.
different social classes, different parts of India, even different countries and religions. And in all that diversity, there's this shared goal, a sense of spirituality that brings them together.
And speaking of spirituality, it's not like there's just one strict set of beliefs at the Kumbh Mela.
Right, that's important. The Kumbh Mela includes all kinds of Hindu groups, each with their own rituals and ways of understanding things.
Yeah,
It's not about forcing everyone to believe the same thing.
right.
It's about giving people a space to connect with their faith in their own way as part of a bigger picture.
I'm starting to see why it's lasted for so long. It lets people be themselves while still being part of something bigger. But let's be real. The Kumbh Mela is also quite a show, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The colors, the processions of sadhus, those are the holy men, often dressed in bright clothes and ash. The chanting, the music, it's really something to experience. It engages your mind, your body, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're stepping into a living myth.
There's definitely something mythical about it. For lots of pilgrims, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing, a chance to cleanse themselves, get blessings, feel connected to something larger.
I'm curious about technology, though. We're always online, right?
Yeah.
Smartphones, social media, information overload. Has all that changed the Kumbh Mela?
That's an interesting question. In a lot of ways, technology has actually made the experience better for pilgrims.
Really?
Think about it. Smartphones help people stay in touch with family back home, share pictures and videos, and even find out about the different events happening.
So instead of being a distraction, technology helps people navigate and document this ancient pilgrimage.
Exactly. And don't forget, the authorities use it to manage the crowds and keep everyone safe. We talked about the CCTV cameras and all those communication systems they use. It's essential when you have so many people to look after.
I wouldn't be surprised if there are even apps made just for the Kumbh Mela.
You're right. There are apps that give you maps, event schedules, info about lodging and transportation, even emergency contacts. It's pretty amazing how ancient traditions and modern tech can work together.
So the Kumbh Mela is this blend of old and new, bringing ancient rituals into the 21st century.
Exactly. Makes you wonder what the Kumbh Mela will look like in the future, how technology will shape it, how it will change as the world changes.
Those are some good questions. It makes me think about the future of faith and tradition in a world that's always changing. How do we hold on to what matters from the past while embracing the future?
It's a balancing act, that's for sure. But the Kumbh Mela shows that tradition and progress don't have to be enemies. They can work together.